This Honourable Senate now resumes its sittings, and before we begin the business of the day, Senators Morris, Allen and Crawford are seeking permission to join the meeting virtually. Do I have your concurrence? Pardon? You don't want Senator Allen to join? Senators Allen, Crawford and Morris, welcome. Senator Dr. Floyd Morris, I recognize you sitting in a seat other than your own, and I don't have to remind you of the stated reminder from Senator Montague that one day Busher is still a Busher. So we recognize you from the leader's seat. I bring to the attention of this Honourable Senate the passing of former Senator Delano Franklin, who transited this morning. Senator Delano Franklin served the Senate from 2002 to 2007. I just asked the Senate to note his passing this morning, and at a later stage I will ask the appropriate tributes to be paid to Senator Delano Roosevelt Franklin, and to recognize the contribution that he has made to the development of this country. So I just note his passing this morning, and at a later stage I will ask for appropriate tributes to be paid to him. So we recognize his passing and offer our condolences to his family at this very trying time. Statements by ministers. Announcements. Bills brought from the Honourable. I'm sorry. Announcements. You're slow off the mark this morning, Ms. Curtis. Announcements.
Oh, thank you. Laid on the table of the Senate today are the following: Annual Report on Audited Financial Statement for the Jamaica Social Investment Fund for the year 2021-2022. Special Report of Investigation conducted into allegations of irregularity, conflict of interest and corruption in the award of certain contracts by Petrojam Limited. Petrojam Report number 3. Jamaica Third Supplementary Estimates for the year ending March 31, 2023. Annual Report on Audited Financial Statements of the National Road Operating and Constructing Company Limited for financial year 2020-2021. Annual Report on Audited Financial Statement of the Montego Bay Free Zone Company Limited for the financial year 2020-2021. Annual Report on Audited Financial Statements for the financial year 2020-2021 for the Registrar General's Department. Ministry Papers numbers 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26 respectively, regarding orders and their respective orders and resolutions under the law reform zones of special operations, special security, and community development measures act in respect of the Greenwich Town Zone social intervention, the August Town Zone social intervention, the Mount Salem Community Zone social intervention, the Norwood Community Zone social intervention, the Parade Gardens Community Zone social intervention, the Savannah Lamar Community Zone social intervention, and the Denham Town Community Zone social intervention, all dated January 26, 2023. Annual Report on Audited Financial Statement for the Public Broadcasting Corporation of Jamaica for the financial year 2009 to 2012. Annual report of the Export-Import Bank of Jamaica, Exim Bank, for the financial year 2020 to 2021. The Independent Commission of Investigation Act 2010, Appendum to previously tabled report reflecting the period July to September 2022. The Indicom Commission of Investigation Act, Indicom report reflecting the period October to December 2022. Indicom's Strategic Vision 2022. Annual report on audited financial statements for the Public Broadcasting Corporation of Jamaica for the financial year 2009-2012. Annual report from the Export-Import Bank of Jamaica for the financial year 2020-2021. These are repeated. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Bills brought from the Honourable House of Representatives, petitions, papers, reports from committees, notices of motions given orally.
Mr. President, on behalf of Senator Auburn Hill, I beg to give notice that at the next meeting of the Senate, he will move the following motion. The Trademarks Act, the Trademarks Amendment Rules 2022 Resolution. Whereas Section 78 of the Trademarks Act, hereinafter referred to as the Act, provides that the Minister may, from time to time, make such rules subject to affirmative resolution for regulating the practice under the Act, including the service of documents, for classifying goods for the purposes of registration of trademarks, for making or requiring duplicates of trademarks and other documents, for securing and regulating the publishing and selling or distributing in such manner as he may think fit of copies of trademarks and other documents, for the regulation of trademark agents, prescribing fees payable under this Act, generally for regulating the business of the Office of the Registrar of Companies in relation to trademark and all things by this Act, the placed under the direction or control of the Registrar. And whereas on the 15th day of December 2022, the Minister made the Trademarks Amendment Rules 2022, now therefore be it resolved by this Honourable House as follows. 1. This resolution may be cited as the Trademarks Amendment Rules 2022 resolution. 2. The Trademarks Amendment Rules 2022, which was laid on the table of the Senate on the 10th day of February 2023, is affirmed. Mr. President, I also beg to give notice that at the next meeting of the Senate, I will move the following motion. Be it resolved, with reference to the sessional select, joint select and select committees which are appointed in the current session of Parliament, and where these committees have not completed their deliberations, that in the new session of Parliament, this Honourable Senate be empowered to enable these committees to proceed with the issues referred to them from the stage reached before prorogation. Be it further resolved that the composition of all these committees remain unchanged, except where necessary by further motion taken and approved by this Honourable Senate. And be it further resolved, with reference to the matters identified below, which are included in the order of business in this session of Parliament, but for which deliberations have not been completed, that in the new session of Parliament the Senate be empowered to proceed with them from the stage reached before prorogation. 1. The Trademark Amendment Rules. 2. The Segregated Accounts Companies Act 2023. 3. Private members' motions numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 on the order paper. Mr. President, I further beg to give notice that at a later stage today I will move for the suspension of standing orders to enable me to take this motion.
Thank you, Minister. Questions and answers to questions? Motions that may be made at the commencement of public business requiring notice. Motions relating to the sitting of the Senate. Motions for leave to introduce bills. The presentation of bills without the leave of the Senate first obtained. public business. Minister.
Mr. President, I now move for the suspension of standing orders to enable me to take the motion, notice of which I gave earlier.
Members would have heard the question. And those in favour?
Mr. President, I anticipate that there would be no full debate on this matter, save, of course, the indication by the opposition that there would be no objection to the motion which has been put forward. And indeed, the reference is to the second motion taken as the first is one which has in fact been carried over. I ask that the motion be approved if there is no further comment.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Minister. Senator Dr. Morris.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. President. The opposition has no problem with the motions that have been tabled, and we support the action. May it please you, Mr. President.
Minister is asking that the motions be approved. Those in favour? Aye. Against?
Mr. President, that brings us to the point at which we have all, I think, greatly anticipated this morning, which is the conclusion of today's business. Mr. President, it is well, let me not refer to the matter which you referred to earlier, because this is to be taken on another occasion, and simply say, Mr. President, that there is no further business to be done today, and I ask that the Senate be adjourned for a date to be fixed.
Members, the question is that the Senate be adjourned for a date to be fixed. Those in favour? Against? Just to remind that we have the opening of the new term on Tuesday, and members would have been notified as to the arrangements concerning times and all of that. So we do ask that as much as possible members be on time so that we can participate on this very important occasion. I'm informed that this will be the first session where the COVID rules would have been relaxed to such an extent that there is a wider invitation list. So if you have anyone who you wish to get an invitation for, or you intend to bring your spouses, or whosoever, please just notify the clerk so that we can make arrangements for your parking, seating, etc. Thank you very much. I said it already. The Senate now stands adjourned for a date to be fixed. I said it already.
Once you replace negative thoughts with positive ones, you'll start having positive results. Educate yourself.
Friends, have you noticed that the weather has been changing? In some places I have heard it has been flooding, and others are suffering from drought. Why is this happening? There have been big changes to the earth over recent years, which have led to these problems. We need to understand what is going on, so you must listen carefully. We are going to talk about important agreements being made by governments to deal with these problems, which will affect us. Before I tell you more, let us understand why these agreements have come about. People live on Earth. People live in many different ways, but we are connected together by being human and knowing that Earth is our only home. We, as indigenous peoples, live in the forest. We know the land here better than any other. We know the healing plants and the places to drink. The spirits of the forest have always been good to us, as we have been good to them. The forest is like a friend. If we take, we must give back, or we will lose our friendship. But now we see that things are changing. We can no longer rely on the knowledge that has been passed on from our parents. We used to know when the rains would come, the right time to plant seeds, but now it rains at the wrong time, if at all. The rivers are different. The forest is changing, and the animals no longer guide us. Why? People outside the village have told me the earth is getting warmer, and that's why things are changing. The earth has become warmer and colder before, but this time people are to blame. But I've also been told that we know how to start to solve this problem.
What is it that's happened?
It's a long answer. You must be patient. The first thing that we must learn is a word. That word is carbon. It is something that is a part of almost everything around you. The charcoal that you use to cook your food is carbon. When you write with a pencil, it's carbon that you see on the paper. Carbon is found in every living thing on Earth. Much of your body is made of carbon.
So why are you talking about carbon? Is it this that's causing the problem?
Since the Earth was created, there has always been carbon. In the past, this carbon was stored safely in the oceans, lands, plants and animals around us. Everything was in balance. If carbon moved from one place, it was taken in by another place. Then things changed. In recent times, because of people, the carbon released into the air is much more than the Earth can take back. It is industrialized countries who are guilty of doing this. Cars, ships, aeroplanes, factories, mining, and making electricity all release carbon. The Earth has become like a house without a chimney. The carbon's got nowhere to go. Now, the actual carbon that is making a problem is called carbon dioxide. You can't see it, you can't smell it. It's a gas, part of the air. When you breathe, you make carbon dioxide. When vegetables rot, it creates carbon dioxide. It's a natural thing, but it's just that we are now making too much of it.
Why does carbon dioxide make the Earth warmer?
Good question. The sun shines on us, giving light and heat. In the past, some of this light and heat was reflected away, which kept Earth the perfect temperature. But now the extra carbon dioxide in the air traps the heat that used to escape. This means the Earth is getting warmer, and this is making things change.
What kinds of things will happen if the Earth gets warmer?
Well, if the Earth is warmer, it means that more water goes into the air from the oceans, so more rain will fall in some areas and cause flooding. In some countries, because the air is so much hotter, the water in the air cannot turn into rain, and that means drought. If it becomes hotter, there will be wildfires. Diseases, insects and plants will move either to get away from or grow with the warmth. This is why the people of the Earth need to take carbon dioxide out of the air and stop it from being made. Now, this is where we, as indigenous peoples living in forests, become part of the story. One of the ways carbon dioxide is taken from the air is by forests. Trees take the carbon dioxide into their bodies, where it's stored.
That's great, but why are we talking about this?
Well, around the Earth, every minute of every day, huge amounts of forests are destroyed, meaning there are less trees to take in the carbon dioxide. What makes it worse is that cutting down trees, leaving waste wood to rot, creates even more carbon dioxide. In fact, right now, the cutting down of forests makes more carbon dioxide than all the cars, trains, ships and planes put together. The people who study these things know that the destruction of the forest is mainly due to industrialized countries. Their demand for wood and land for planting crops like rubber trees and palm oil or raising animals have helped create this problem. They know that it is not indigenous peoples that are causing the problem with forest destruction or degradation. Now the eyes of the Earth are upon countries and people with forests to help solve the carbon dioxide problem. They are looking to us for help. Governments who are responsible for reducing carbon dioxide are doing two things. Firstly, agreements are being made to reduce the carbon dioxide that is being made by industrialized countries. Secondly, they're developing agreements to slow down and maybe stop the destruction of forests. This is the agreement I was talking about at the beginning. This agreement is called REDD+. REDD stands for Reducing Emissions from Deforestation and Forest Degradation. Simply put, the REDD+ agreement is that payment will be made to developing countries to not cut down their forests, but to keep them for taking out the carbon dioxide in the air and to not create more carbon dioxide by cutting them down. They must make it more valuable for a tree to be left standing. But it's more than this. REDD+ also wants to bring back the traditional plants and animals, develop the forests and reduce poverty in areas where it'll take place. This is a time when industrialized countries will have to take responsibility for what they have done. They will have to learn to look at forests in a different way. Understand that they will have to pay to keep the forests as well as reduce the carbon dioxide they make. But please, let's not forget that not only are forests an important natural resource for the Earth, but they are also the rightful home to at least 300 million indigenous peoples like us. For us, a forest is not just about carbon. The forest is who we are and what makes us unique, as well as providing us with our livelihoods. It'll cost money to stop their destruction and maintain them. But without forests, the Earth and us will die. Now listen to this. If governments are looking at controlling forests as part of a REDD+ agreement, this will affect us. There will be changes in laws and governance, and we will be on the front line. It's possible we might not even be allowed in the forest. What would happen to us then? We can and must take part and have our voices heard, but not as a people left on the side, but as a central part of REDD+. It's our future and the Earth's that's now in our hands.
How can you say this? No one listens to us. But what about our rights?
Under this REDD+ agreement, it is required that the rights and traditional knowledge of indigenous peoples and local communities shall be respected. This is because indigenous peoples insisted that their rights be recognized in the REDD+ agreement. REDD+ requires that we, as indigenous peoples, shall have full and effective participation in all phases of REDD+. This means that governments will have to consult and involve us. All of this is written down and recognized under the United Nations Declaration of Rights of Indigenous Peoples. We will call this the Declaration. This took 20 years of work by indigenous peoples' representatives, our people, working with governments to finally have these rights recognized. Simply put, it states that the way we want to live is as valid as any other peoples of the earth, that we deserve the right to live in our own way and decide our own future on our own terms. It also states that indigenous peoples have rights to their lands, territories and resources, as well as to their traditional livelihoods. As part of the declaration, there is even more protection for indigenous peoples to make sure that we play a central role in the decision-making on matters that affect us, including RED+ and other agreements. This is called FPIC. FPIC means free, prior and informed consent. This guides how the government and others must work with indigenous peoples in the RED+ agreement process. Firstly, free, that the participation of indigenous peoples like ourselves will be free from intimidation or pressure. Secondly, prior. They will ensure that they'll give all indigenous peoples the time and support we need to take part in RED+ in our own way. Thirdly, informed. They will tell us everything we need to know in ways we can understand. They will answer any questions we have. We will be provided with any information that we ask for. Fourthly, consent. That we will make our decision on anything to do with RED+ in our own way, in our own time. If we, as indigenous peoples, say no, then whatever is proposed will not be able to go ahead. We must make sure that our decisions are based on the well-being and common interests of our people and the earth. We must use this power wisely and work with trusted partners to support us. The Declaration is an important part of the RED+ agreement. In the past, the rights, well-being and the knowledge of indigenous peoples have not been recognized or appreciated by those who have wanted access to our forests.
But how can a RED agreement work for all countries?
The RED+ agreement is not fixed. It is made so each country can adapt it for itself. This is why we must be part of its development from the very start, in order that we can help shape the way it looks. Let's talk more about RED+. There are 3 phases to the RED+ agreement. The first phase is to make sure each country is ready to take part by planning what needs to be done and building confidence that it can deliver on its promises. As I said, this could include changes in forest laws and governance. This is why we indigenous peoples must take part to protect ourselves. This is the stage we're at now. The second phase is bringing these promises to life alongside commitment on how the benefits will be shared. There will be test projects to make sure we can measure how much carbon dioxide we take out of the air and how much carbon dioxide we can stop from being made. In this phase, we will establish where the money will come from that will pay for RED+ in our country. The third phase is the running of RED+. The more we reduce carbon dioxide, the more we will benefit. But this is not just about money. This is about allowing us to live the way we want and keeping the forest how it should be. Countries taking part in RED+ must operate in a transparent and non-corrupt manner. People inside and outside the country will be watching independently to ensure the project is properly run. We need to understand how RED+ will be set up in our own country and ensure that we play a central part in its development. I want to talk about something else that we should be thinking about. In our village, people contribute to the well-being of our community in many different ways. I want to ask you, are all the voices in our community being listened to and appreciated? There is no one here who would deny the roles our mothers, wives, daughters and sisters play in our communities. They are the ones who take on the burdens of bearing children, teaching them and nursing the ill. They are the ones who collect the firewood, tend the crops and cook the food. They are often the ones with traditional knowledge of what the forests can supply. They are the ones who must make do with what they have. We must be proud and ensure they too are part of our voice and have shared ownership of the forests. We must do this for the sake of our future, for they are a central part of our present. A just society recognizes the contribution and participation of women as equals. Let us not forget this.
Our community is made of men and women. Without each other, we would be half of what we are now. We may have some different needs, but we have a common purpose. This is why it will make the voice of the community stronger if we take part.
We live closely with the earth. Our simple lifestyle does not create more carbon than we can take back. This is a lesson that other people can learn from us. It has been proven that the way we cultivate and grow our food does not contribute to the earth getting warmer. It has been proven that our way of life does not kill the forest, that we can look after it. But we are the ones who will feel the changes of a warming earth first, so we must take action to protect ourselves as well as the earth. But to do this, we need the security of being respected for the way we want to live and where we want to live. Without recognition of our rights, without us taking part, Red Plus cannot be successful. We can improve our communities and make our lives more secure. This is a win-win situation for the earth and ourselves. This is the time to strengthen ourselves and assert our rights. Let us not fail to do the best we can for our people, our children, and the future of the earth.
The farming community of James Hill is one of a few communities in Upper Clarendon that is boosting its capacity to deal with the challenges created by adverse weather conditions.
In James Hill, we have to be farmers. When rain season, it affects us.
The weather conditions here in James Hill, sometimes we have heavy rains and persistent rain. Yes, so we have like months of rain.
When the rain falls, the water will just wash everything because nothing is there to stop the soil.
To address this issue and build the climate resilience of the community in a sustainable way, the Adaptation Program and Financing Mechanism AP&FM for the Pilot Program for Climate Resilience PPCR Jamaica has invested in enhanced agricultural practices, which includes the use of live barriers. The AP&FM is working with the members of the James Hill Farmers Group in reviving the live barriers to mitigate the damage to their farms following sustained periods of rainfall in the parish.
We use barriers, dead barriers and live barriers. Live barriers is trees, sugarcane, grass and pineapple to do live barriers. We plant pineapples for live barriers. The pineapple helps to generate income and it helps to stop soil erosions. The dead barriers now is when we use trash, stones or sticks. You lay them across the contour. So those is what we call dead barriers.
He has also learned some lessons from the project.
We learn to plant these in trees. We used to plant in 2 or 1, but now we plant in trees, which is gonna help to eliminate the flow of water going down and take away the soil. So the tree, whatever one root of pineapple miss, it takes the second root. The second root miss, the third root will take it.
Well, the live barrier helps to protect the soil. You know, there used to be soil erosion, but once you have in a live barrier, you know, it stops the soil erosion. And that is very important.
The AP&FM has worked with community development committees in Upper Clarendon to supply 64 kilometers of live barriers on farms in flood-prone communities, such as Reckford, Salem, Morgan's Forest, Longbow, Redlands and James Hill. The project has also worked with the CDCs to construct 1,200 micro-check dams.
Recently now, through a grant to our CDC, that's the Community Development Committee, we got some check dams. And right on this property we have one, which joins the parochial road along with the main road, to help to prevent the soil erosion and to help to slow the flow of the water. I think they have been quite effective, you know. Because when I walk down the main there, I see less soil down on the main there. What used to come down, I no longer see that coming down. And then down the bottom there used to be so blocked that the water was going on the road. But since the check dam and down there has been cleared, we don't have that problem again.
Well, the live barriers will work with the dead barriers. So it will help minimize the rate of erosion more. We have a dead barrier right here. Yeah, so this will help build back the land. Before the barrier, you used to have soil erosion, where the soil will move away from the roots and it will wash down further down the field. And now we have the barrier in place, you can see evidence where the soil is backing up and building up back.
On my farm, we are hillside farmers, right? And when you work on hillside, you intend to have a lot of soil erosion because the place is very steep. So when you use these barriers, it helps to build up back the soil.
The James Hill farmers have adapted well to this new proactive method of protecting their farms from the inevitable elements of nature. They believe that this project is an adequate solution to combating the natural challenges of farming that have plagued them for so many years.
Saying to people, this is what can happen, but they don't see. They don't believe. But once you see what's gonna take place, you're seeing, you're looking at what's going on, then you're gonna believe, say, yes, it can.
The NITS enrollment process is easy as 1, 2, 3. In order to enroll into the NITS, an applicant must be a citizen of Jamaica or ordinarily resident for 6 months and above. Persons must submit documents such as birth certificate, proof of address, or marriage certificate. Step 1. Applicants will be able to pre-enroll online or visit the nearest enrollment center. Step 2. Applicants' biometric data and supporting documents are collected at an enrollment site. A reference number will be given for the applicant to track the application online. Step 3. Once the verification is done, a notification will be sent to the applicant to collect, pin, and activate their national identification card. The process is now completed, and your ID card can now be used to verify your identity.
The role of the DRF in violence prevention in our society is to mediate. We believe that mediation is really a very good thing in terms of resolving disputes at the court level, at the parish court level, and at the Supreme Court level. Now, let me tell you about some of the matters that may come at the parish court levels. You and I live in a tenement yard and a fight. We report the matter to the police, it goes to court. The judge may say, well, you know, you are just a probably a teenager, go to mediation and see if you can get a settlement. Because if you can agree, then you won't have a criminal record. We urge everyone, call our offices, come to our offices, no matter how simple the matter may be, come to us. We have persons who are trained.
It is the purest, wildest stretch of land and ice and water in North America. A wilderness that is home to tens of millions of animals and dreams. Alaska.
Know what's there until you drill it. In places like Alaska, that means you've got to risk tens of millions of dollars often to find out what's there. With every one of those wells, every one that goes down, there is the possibility of finding the gold at the end of the rainbow. I love it.